Sorry about that, folks. We were having a little bit of difficulty with the internet service coming in, but we got that problem resolved. So basically, all I did is just rebooted the router, and it's fine. So basically, it's kind of there's actually a lot of factors in the. So we'll kind of talk about the what I would want in a editing laptop. I don't have to have 5K or 4K resolution. It could be 1020 by 1080 pixel display. That's probably all I would mostly need. But I would at least need, I would preferably go with at least 16 gigs minimum. I'd go Core i7 or Ryzen 7, or I think that's how they pronounce that. And that's the AMD processor. I have never used the Ryzen 7. I use the Ryzen 5. I don't own any computers with the Ryzen, but I've used other people's computers that had, or somebody that had one like that. And they're not bad. But I don't know if maybe I'll go to, like I was saying earlier, maybe I'll go totally unconventional, get a MacBook Pro or something for editing, or an iMac. I don't know if I want to go an iMac. I want something that's not going to take a lot of space up in here. But I'm sure those laptops have plenty of power. And then instead of using cheap open source video software, I would kind of splurge a little bit on something a little more decent as far as the software. I would go with either Adobe or whatever Macintosh has available for their MacBooks. So just as an idea, I know Mac is pretty good for editing, and I'm kind of a Mac kind of person. It's just I'm more familiar with the older stuff. I haven't really played with any of the newer computers. I'm more familiar with like the Performas 5200s, the iMac G3s from, and some of the earlier ones from the 2000s, like the Quandras and stuff from the 90s, and like the Mac Classics and stuff like that. As far as like Windows, I'm sure Windows has decent computers that would do editing, or that would be capable of doing specifically video editing and audio-visual stuff. I don't think I would ever, and when I do get this computer, I don't think I would ever set up a green screen or anything fancy like that. I don't want to make it so unreal and unrealistic. A lot of people, they're like to me, they're like, don't ever make it so unrealistic then. You're like everybody else. And I'm like, well, I don't plan on being unreal. My philosophy is keep things more in realism, and I don't have fancy effects, and one, it costs money to put a green screen up, and two, you gotta have the space to do it, and I don't want to cover this wall up here because one, I kind of like the way it looks with its quirkiness of paneling that had a bunch of holes drilled in it from the previous, and then two, the landlord would have a fit if I covered that door up, because she's in and out of there on occasion. I don't know how often, but I'm sure she would have a bird if I covered that door up with a green screen. And then everything that's in this back corner, I'd have to find a new home for all that stuff back here. And I'm not really ready to take it somewhere else right now. I kind of got to hold off with the moving stuff for now. But eventually, I am in the process of building some furniture dolly type, but on a more customary scale. I just have to finish. I don't exactly get a garage here, so there's a garage on the property, but I don't think the landlord would like it if I was working down in their basement here. So if I could do that, I'd have all my tools and stuff down there, and I would finish it. But since it's raining outside, it's kind of hard to work in the rain. On this last weekend, I took my big finishing sander and I sanded down the wood to get all rid of the rough spots, and then eventually I got to bring the circular saw over here and we'll cut it down to size according to the totes, and this is basically I'm just going to put the totes on there, and then maybe eventually I'll add on to the existing dolly, maybe even build a platform on the top and use it as a work table or something. I'm not going to get fancy just yet, but eventually down the road we'll do something, make it more user friendly. And his original thought was, I got one relative that stopped in. That was when I first got in or moved in here. They're like, just build a counter across this back wall. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because the landlord might need to get it in and out of cold storage. And they just said, well, it doesn't look like they use it. And I'm like, I know it doesn't, but I don't want to block anything off permanently unless I knew that they weren't going to use that ever again. But that's why I'm kind of hesitant to building anything permanent back here. But it would be on wheels anyway, so I could wheel it away if I had to. It's just I want it so I can move things around easier. And the simpler solution is get rid of everything, and then you don't have to worry about making room for stuff. But unfortunately, I don't have a place to hide stuff and store stuff here, so it's kind of lingers a bit in the back of my head that maybe this isn't really the place for what I'm doing. But I don't really have any other options at this point in time, so I gotta stick with what I have. It's expensive enough renting here, so other than the landlord is more than accommodating enough already, so I kind of feel I can't really complain or say much, even though there's nothing really to complain about it. Minus the fact that it'd be nice to have an extra room or two for storage in a work area. And then this would still be a work area, but it'd just be neat and tidier. And the mess would be back there. So, well, there's not a lot to say other than the fact that eventually, if I get any more jobs like I did the other day, I think I could actually make some of these things happen, like technology upgrades for work here in the office. So, even though some jobs like that are tedious and they're very nerve-wracking because you're trying to figure out a way without screwing their stuff up, but money's good, and eventually things will get paid for around here as far as technology, and eventually get better stuff. But for now, like I've been saying, you gotta work your way up there. You can't have it all at once. So On that note, I will try rendering that video again, different resolution. So we're not going to keep it too long. We're going to call it quits here pretty quick. So God bless everybody. Stay safe. Don't go out and have too much fun next weekend. Well, what I meant to say was go out and celebrate next weekend, but stay safe while doing it. Don't drink too much. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Don't watch videos on your phone while driving. I've noticed when I was at work in the last couple of days that there's more people paying attention to their phones. I'd say about maybe 30 out of 100 cars on the road, I saw people texting and driving. That's not a very good track record. And if I was a law enforcement officer, I would probably give you like a $10,000 fine if I caught you texting and driving. Because not only is it a danger to yourself to be on the road, you're not paying attention to where you're going, but if you're texting and you're distracted by other stuff in the car, you could potentially, not only could you injure yourself, but you could kill a person in an oncoming lane, or crash into somebody, or kill somebody on the sidewalk, or run or crash through somebody's front window. So please don't text and drive. Don't do your Facebook while driving. Don't take selfies of yourself while driving, as they call them. Which I think selfie is a dumb name. It's just as dumb as the word hoodie. The more adult way of saying it is a hooded sweatshirt. But kids like the slang word hoodie. And I think it's kind of dumb, in my opinion, to talk like that. It's like talking baby talk. So everybody's entitled to their opinion. And if you want to walk around talking like that, go right ahead. But that's not something I would advise doing. If you came in here and you started talking like that, to be honest, I don't think I would take you that seriously if you were using a lot of slang like that. So, on that note, stay safe out on the roads. And even though the government's still trying to put fear in everybody with social distancing, get together with your friends and family and have a good time and stuff like that. You don't have to avoid Memorial Day weekend because of that. I wouldn't. I'm still gonna get together with relatives and friends, and I'm not gonna get so drunk to the point where I can't see straight. But that's not my cup of tea exactly. But just drink responsibly, and everything will be fine. So we'll see you sometime tomorrow, or not tomorrow on here. Then we'll shoot for Wednesday. Because Tuesday I get a webinar in the morning. I was gonna start the stream earlier today, but I was on a conference call on the internet, so that was a very mandatory. That was one I signed up for back in January already. But with social distancing, that you don't actually. When it comes to conferencing, it's kind of nice to actually do it on your computer instead of actually having to drive down to Milwaukee or Beloit or Kenosha or up to Appleton or Fond du Lac or Oshkosh for these events. And you can still interact with everybody online and just put in the privacy of your office instead of So basically, you don't have to drag out your leisure suit or your sports coat, or you can sit in your office with a nice polo shirt on and a pair of shorts, and they won't know that you're not dressed up for a conference. So that's the beauty of doing teleconferencing and video conferencing, is you don't have to. I don't advise going to your office wearing jogging suit or knit shorts, but still put on a nice pair of shorts and nice polo shirt or something, and you could pull off, because when you're on a live stream or a video conference, you're only going to see your head, so it doesn't make any difference under what you have on, as long as it's clean and looks appropriate and stuff like that. But so on that note, we're gonna end it here.